Hi friends, welcome on board. Let me show you what I did for this video. This is a 3-in-1 device, a power bank, a mobile charger, and an emergency LED light. And there we go, 14 LEDs in 2 rows, strong enough for most applications. This is the back side of the circuit, a solid ground plane, and this is the back side of the controller, soldered to the plane for better heat dissipation and also to enhance the performance of the circuit. You can charge the batteries using this USB Type-C connector, so you can use your conventional mobile charger or whatever Type-C charger. This switch to turn on the lights, turn on and off the lights, and this USB Type-C connector to charge your mobile phone or whatever 5 volts device. So now let me show you how it works. You can see 4 LEDs here. A single press shows the battery status. Now 3 from 4, not bad. A long press on this button turns on this single white LED. So a long press. There we go. Another long press turns off the light. So for the first test, let me show you how you can charge the batteries. So this is a Type-C cable, and connect this to the connector. There we go. You can charge the batteries like this. So let me turn on the emergency lights. You see that? Pretty nice and easy. And let me show you how you can charge your cell phone. So here is the Type-C cable. One side should be Type A, and if I find a phone here, and there we go, you see it charges the phone pretty nicely. So a nice circuit, isn't it? Nice and useful. But before I go to the next step, let me show you something. Let me tell you something about these LEDs. You should solder these LEDs with attention, and the temperature of your soldering iron should not be higher than 250. So this is my soldering iron. If I show you, you see that? This is my soldering iron, and you should decrease the soldering temperature to maximum 250, right? Like this. And this is the safe temperature to solder these LEDs, otherwise you might damage the LEDs. Be careful about this. So that's it. Let's go to the next step, schematic and PCB. Alright, here is the project in Altium Develop software. This is the schematic diagram. This one is the PCB layout. Let me show you the board in 3D. Here is the top, and this is the bottom side. All PCB projects you create in Altium Develop and any edits you make are transferred to the cloud. Do you see these green ticks here? Let me show you my design portal, and this is our project. All connected teammates receive updates instantly. But Altium Develop offers many features, but one stands out. It makes teamwork easy, especially on complex PCB projects. Imagine you are on a team where one person works on power supply, another designs digital circuits, someone else handles RF parts such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LNA, mixers, and another team member creates component libraries and prepares the bill of materials. If you rely on traditional methods such as email, shared folders, screenshots, and PDFs, things get messy. You end up with a bunch of schematic and PCB files, misunderstandings, and frustration. This will delay your project, stress the team members, and affect the company's revenue and reputation. The difference is obvious, so I won't explain more. Follow this link in the YouTube video description. sign up on the Altium website and test it with your 1 month free legal license. With that sign up, you can also download the project files from this link. Anyway, let's come back to the schematic and explain it. This is a USB Type-C connector. These two pull-down resistors are to tell the Type-C charger that this is the load side and the current is high. High means more than 500 milliamps basically. These two capacitors for noise reduction, input voltage noise reduction, and stabilize the controller. I really like this part number because with just a few passive components you can build a good and compact power bank. You can use whatever color for these LEDs. My selection was yellow, if you remember. These output capacitors are for noise reduction. I used two lithium-ion batteries in parallel. My selection was 3200. I think that's the maximum for a lithium-ion battery. You can use whatever, but not lower than 2200. These capacitors are for noise reduction and for accurate reading of the battery voltage. These capacitors are mandatory to stabilize this network. Do you remember that push button? This is that push button and this is the white LED. This is the output USB Type-A connector to charge your mobile phone or whatever 5 volts device, and this is the boost converter for the LEDs. As I demonstrated in the previous section, two rows of 7 LEDs, it means 14 LEDs, more than 1.2 watts of power, pretty enough, or I can say strong enough for most applications. This is a famous boost converter chip, and I have used its enable pin, pin number 4, to turn on and off the lights. These two capacitors, of course, for input noise reduction, the same as this chip. A typical boost converter, so an output capacitor, and this shunt resistor to sense the LED current and transfer this voltage to the controller. You can modify these resistors or even use a resistor in parallel with this one. But I think my selection for this resistor and LEDs are fine for most applications because your emergency light should work for several hours. This is a basic application for an emergency light. Otherwise, if the light goes off after 30 minutes and you have an intense light, there is no benefit. You should have a moderate light and you should be able to use this portable emergency light for many hours. I covered everything, isn't it? If you have any question regarding the schematic, just let me know in the comment section. Let's go to the PCB and come back to the normal pattern. There we go. If you look at this design, it is similar to my other designs. I mean, even for this one, I tried to reduce the length and impedance of the ground path as much as possible. That's why you see ground plane and vias where they are necessary. If I show you the bottom layer and enable this single layer mode, you see the bottom layer or the back side of the board is almost a solid ground plane. This provides a good return path for the circuit on the top. If I disable this. The next point is this connection, this PCB net. I use copper plane and polygon to design this connection. It is a high current connection because it goes to USB-A that is used for charger, and also it goes to the this boost converter chip to turn on the LED lights. That's why it should be thick enough to handle the high current, in this case 2 amps. This is a boost converter chip. This is a Schottky diode and inductor, so these two components should be placed as close as possible to the controller. The same thing happens for this power bank chip, but there is no Schottky diode for the power bank, so the inductor should be placed as close as possible to the power bank. I use these 4 strong vias below the controller chip to provide a good connection between the backside of the controller and ground, and also to help to dissipate the heat better. I think I showed you the soldering on the backside of the PCB that was related to this controller. So the connectors are on the edge of the PCB, and you should place the capacitors as close as possible to the connector, not somewhere else on the board. That's also important. So I covered everything. Let me show you the backside. So these copper planes help to dissipate the LED heat better. LEDs are rated maximum 0.2 watts, so that's enough for such application. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to share and subscribe. We will do something else in the next video.